There's a Reddit post with the title, "Waiting for Healers in PF is getting pretty rough." As someone who has been healing the entire tier and cleared it week 1 on healer, I do think that it's appropriate for me to chime in with my opinion on this. And first of all, I need to start by saying, hey, if you are a bearded, thick, nerdy gamer, that you're looking for a submissive but breedable healer, hey, I might be your guy. Jokes aside, I've had the largest windfall of gil this expansion by doing mercenary runs and clearing people through Party Finder. Shit, that's still a little too meme-worthy. How about I put it as, it has been exceptionally quick to find any groups to fill. Shit, that's probably not what people want to hear. On a very serious note, this is kind of the culmination of what we were talking about before Dawntrail was released with the hashtag healer strike. Now see, it's what I said, and I retain what I said, that striking in any form of video game is pretty pointless. If there's going to be an issue, it's going to manifest itself very organically. We've seen this with Dustborn, whatever the fuck that game was meant to be, Concord, repeat what I said, and now we're seeing it with healers, where there is clearly an issue here, and we didn't need a hashtag healer strike for it to manifest. And a thing that I do want to say is, during that a lot of people were dabbing over it, kind of like that meme where the one dude's like making peace sign over the grave. Like, a lot of people were doing that because they were able to level really quickly. And as someone who leveled all the jobs to max level in it was like 6 or 7 days, I can say, yeah, I didn't really feel too much of a healer shortage there. However, like I said, these problems manifest themselves very organically, and this is why we had that hashtag healer strike. And let me be very clear with that. I want to be very clear because people really like taking things out of context. I don't think any strikes in video games have, like, they just don't work. And my goal is to not punish other people. It's more like, I just organically I'm still playing healer myself even. Like, so am I participating in a hashtag healer strike? Obviously fucking not. But we have these things that people really shuffled under the rug, and they're just like, this isn't an issue. I went to the media tour, which I'm so thankful for. I really honestly, that was such a wonderful experience, and I still feel very blessed to go there. But Sage had the ability to stack their AoE damage over a time effect, their Eucrasian Dyscrasia effect, and their Eucrasian Dosis effect, which was very cool because we finally had the ability to, in our general rotation, stack damage over time effects again, which is pretty cool. That was stripped out of the kits, and I did make a bit of a stink about that, saying, come on guys, like, give us a little bit of something. Like, when I saw Eucrasian Dyscrasia for Sage, and you can even go back and watch the video now, and you know that I'm telling the truth, I did not say to nerf Sage for there. In fact, I thought it was so awesome, I wanted to see Miasma 2 come back for Scholar, which is basically the same thing as Eucrasian Dyscrasia, just an AoE damage over time effect that Scholars used to be able to stack. Was stacking damage over time effects suddenly going to make Sage's DPS that high? Well, you know what, then nerf it, because what we're asking here is not a DPS shift. What we are asking for is instead a gameplay shift, and that's really what that was, like, really all about. Now, some people have noticed that I haven't played Scholar much this expansion in Party Finder, and I'm going to be very direct with you. If you've seen me in Party Finder, and I know a lot of you have because you reach out to me in whispers and stuff, like, which is always appreciated. I genuinely do this channel because reaching out to people, frankly, I do not get much money at all from YouTube, at all. So it's really genuinely for the community. But people have noticed I'm just going on Astro, and there are a lot of different ways that you can verify that. And what I'm going to tell you is why. It's simply more interesting. What, did you expect a different punchline? It's simply more interesting to play. I have played Scholar pressing broils for so many years now that it has been a breath of fresh air. Is Astro's card system perfect? God, no, it's not. Yes, are we pulling out the 60 seconds just so that we can hold it and then use both DPS cards, the ranged and the melee, as well as the Lord of Crowns during our 2-minute burst? Yes. But you know what, that 2-minute burst is super engaging. It feels super freaking good. Not to mention things like M4S when she has like that laser cannon. Like, it's so funny because I've done it so many times, but I just think laser cannon with all the debuffs. But that is very intense gameplay, and it's something that I really enjoy, because it's like you're tracking the party's health, you're tracking, obviously, keeping out all your buffs and getting them all, you're keeping Malefic going and making sure that the team doesn't die. And this is another thing, and we are not done talking about Astro versus White Mage, but Astro has also the ability to contribute to damage mitigation during that portion, which massively helps the other healer DPS as much as possible too, because it's their 2-minute window too. But my point of saying all that is, I'm playing Astra myself because it's simply more interesting. See, I said this years ago, and I remember that I released a video literally when I was in my to-be home in San Diego, my townhouse, that I so desperately wish that I was in right now rather than this hellhole. I said, samurais can get Kaiten back when they start using feint consistently and appropriately. And I can tell you, it is weird when I see feint used. It feels very weird. I'm like, wait, there's a hand debuff? Like, what's this orange debuff with like a hand on it? What's that? It's been so long, I can't tell. But I will kind of extend that to what the actual issue is it's just like, in Honeybee Lovely, and this is probably the best example, because it's just like, I've literally co-healed with healers with the top weapon with amazing records of gameplay performance, and they literally, like, the group gave Honeybee Lovely something like 4 or 5 or something stacks. Like, it was ridiculous. And this healer was literally flamed by the fucking Viper. Oh, Cole, don't say the elitism thing. Respectfully, Viper, I don't think is the most complex job. I think it's fun. I love the Viper myself. If I could get away with it, I would play it, because I just like the tempo of it. But let's be honest, it's not the most hard thing. But I remember, like, these people were flaming the hell out of this healer. How is a barrier healer, even with an Astro, also assisting, because I don't Chad, like, I have the records of it, I don't Chad my co-healer. Like, how are they supposed to manage that incoming damage and just expect it to hit that hard? It's a very weird scenario, but the first people to get blamed is obviously going to be the healers, because why did we die to the rotten heart damage? Well, you see, 4 stacks is a lot of damage boost. Or another example is healer LB3, and I know that a lot of people who don't play healer may not know this. It locks you in place for a good-ass long time. Like, a good while you're locked down and you cannot heal. Like, in M4S in particular, and I'm looking right at that final mechanic, god, I can't even remember the name of it, sword slashes of a lot of damage. It's not an uncommon thing where LB3 could be used there because multiple people failed that mechanic, because again, like, that will transfer, and Sunrise Sabbath, for some fucking reason, regardless if it's uptime, regardless if it's quote-unquote normal, people fuck that up consistently, and you can go there limping as a group, just barely limping. You use the healer LB3, but hey, we just died to the damage. And it's just like, well, the healer was using the LB3, the other healer was just being picked up, totally res disoriented, they're trying to throw out their cooldowns, and then it's just like, well, I thought that anytime we pass Sunrise Sabbath, it should be a clear guaranteed. Shitter healers. And it's kind of like, brother in Christ, what do you want anyone to do there? Also, it should be noted that the few times that I've seen that, because I really have gone into PF and helped a lot of people clear this fight, and you can probably tell that because I don't upload my own logs, I always let someone else do it, just because I just don't want to, I don't want Yoshi to be mad at me, guys. Ironically, yeah, that's kind of actually genuinely why. But, these people don't upload because they do so poorly, and then it's just like, but like, I digress, but I've seen that so many times, that exact situation where we're at that final sword slasher mechanic, and then it's just like, okay, healer LB3, and then we're trying to recover, and then it's just like the healers instantly get blamed. And it's literally just what I said. Oh, I thought anytime you pass Sunrise Sabbath that it's a guaranteed clear. No, brother, it's not. I'm going to put it in a way that I really don't intend as toxic, but when it came to a lot of the job design, I do genuinely believe that when Square Enix gave buttons like Feint to melee DPS, Addle to magical range DPS, and then they gave physical range like Machinist Dismantle, then they also have the, obviously the 10% raid wide, which can be, as everyone knows, just different for each of the jobs, like Troubadour or whatever. So I think that Square Enix intended for that to help out healers, to let things like be a little easier, or obviously reprisal for tanks. You guys know what I mean. But the problem with that is people aren't using those buttons. And so instead, healers, rather than having the team help them, now the healers need to make up for the lack of their teams using that. And now one thing I do want to say is that I have absolutely seen M4S AoEs just trivialized. Just absolutely trivialized when the entire group uses mid. Like, to the point where they don't even hurt. Where it's just like, whoa, is this even experience? And then there's been other PF groups where honest to goodness, the group would have died if I did not personally pop Neutral Sect, apply the on GCD barrier, use Sun Sign, and Collective Unconscious. Maybe we don't need the 10% from Collective Unconscious, but I'm telling you, those HP bars got hella scary real quick. And then you look at the boss, and then it's just like, wait, like, my dot's running, the co-healer's dot's running, there's no anything. That's a maybe a Dragoon dot, but like no reprisal, no feint, nothing. I'm gonna also say something that some people may disagree with, and I'm gonna be the first person to think, I do think that gearing should get another look at. I made the complaint, which people didn't like my take, but you know what? It's my take. I think melee DPS shouldn't have 3 different fucking sets. I think that's bullshit. Because it's just like, Monk needs what? 7 weeks of tomes for the Monk best in slot? And you're gonna tell me that I'm going to invest that into Monk, a melee DPS, and then I can't play my Reaper, I can't play my Viper with the gear on DPS, which is the role that does absolutely scale the highest with gear. Like, bro. So I'm the first person to say I do think the gear system needs a rework, but when it comes to healers and PF, I'm not going to apologize for this at all. You can clear with 710. I did it myself. That was not a problem. In fact, my White Mage Kaiten, which I did clear M4S with White Mage, it didn't even have materia in it. In fact, I don't even think my Sage weapons, even to this day, have materia in it. And I'm actually being serious when I say that, which is the crazy thing. Because it's not even that I was too lazy, it was that I intended to do it on Scholar. And it just so happened that PF I really had a need for pure healers, and then I just threw on a Kaiten, just not thinking that I'd do it, and I just kind of did it on Astra and stuff. But my point is, I really don't think the gearing, you do not need best in slot on healer to clear. Especially at this point where other DPS, or other group members rather, should have more gear. Like, you should be easily meeting the M4S DPS check at this point. If your group is not wiping to stupid mechanics, taking too many damage downs, is actually using the rotation properly, actually using consumables properly. Like, you know the checklist. I've said the checklist so many times. It should not be that hard to get through at this point. Mask off toxic time, because we're deep enough in the video that we've lost all the little shitty reactors. Okay. Healer is the weirdest role in the game. It is the most polarizing role. It is the easiest role by far when it comes to things like expert dungeons. Actually, I mean, a DPS not using their cooldowns is probably the easiest, but it's like you take Scholar into an expert and really you're just spamming Art4 and just throwing like an OGCD here or there. Like, it's not hard. It is incredibly mind-numbing, I will say that. And this is one reason why I have personally said during the quote-unquote healer strike, hey, why don't we give Scholar like anything? Like, back even to the days of Stormblood, which even back during Stormblood, I thought Scholar was pruned. Oh my god, I had no idea. But with Healer, in the easy content, it's just mind-numbing. It is frigging painful to play. But in the harder content, or especially with PF, because it's just like, Healer is the role most impacted by how your group performs. And maybe I should even make that a timestamp in this video, because it's the truth. If you are completely 100% dependent on how your group is reacting, you are there to clean up mistakes and basically shove the group forward. That's why it's just like, hey, if someone uploads like a shitty gray parse on me, I don't feel embarrassed. It usually means that I had to clean up someone. I know that someone will be like, well, you just cleared M4S last night, motherfucker. It's gray. And I'll be like, brother, look at the deaths. Now, shut off. It's not an insecurity of mine. Like, it's just like, some people are like, oh, you should really care. It's just like, healer parses are probably the most whack thing ever. Like, that's probably another reason why people aren't even inspired to heal, is because, like, The variability in how you parse depends so much on, is your co-healer chatting? Is your group even using any mitigations? Is there a death here? How many times do you need to spot heal the Pictomancer that even though they have a bloody 20-second mobility tool, which is absolutely insane, that they literally are standing in bat expecting you to on GCD barrier heal them? It's like, what? But like, my point is, the damage variability on healer in normal content versus anything of difficulty, which I would consider week 1 PF progging on healer with total randoms the whole way through, way harder than most things in this game. And then I know people will be really up in fiddle. Remember, it's just one asshole's opinion and we all got those. But like, legit, I genuinely feel that healer has the widest variability in how difficult it is. And even then, if you're like in a cushy static where everyone's using all the proper mitigations, just like I said earlier, you won't feel those AoEs. But I really do feel that that gets back to the healer strike, which I'm going to end this video, I think, on this note, because we could honestly keep going on and on, because like I have so many anecdotes, because I really have been doing the shit in PF, and I really have had mixed bag of experiences. Some groups are super easy. Some groups, I feel like I'm tearing my freaking hair out. But, the healer strike, obviously, I said everything I did earlier in the video. I'm not going to repeat myself. Obviously, I'm healing. Obviously, I'm partaking in healing in this game. So, one thing, though, that bugged me a lot was the outright dismissiveness, because I did make a video complaining about, like, why can't Sage's 2-dot stack? I don't even care if that means that it doesn't do more damage than Scholar. That is not my point. My point was the gameplay aspect of it. And then people literally shit on me. And I'm like, what? So I'm the bad guy because I want to do a little bit more of an interesting DPS rotation, which would obviously spice up things like normal content. I guess I'm the villain? I guess? But it's just like, how many people here can say that they would like to be in a group where they're just pressing 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-2 because you need to refresh the exact same 30-second damage over time effect across all the healers, and then back to spamming 1. Obviously, there's a lot more to healing, especially in harder content, but if you're looking at any of the easier forms of content, there really isn't that much more. Sure, you might weave in an OGCD here and there in an expert, but there's a reason why I haven't even unlocked expert. Oh, you think I'm lying? Well, check out my videos sometime. I literally haven't unlocked either of those because I simply just don't enjoy it. Because I do play healer, and I literally haven't unlocked either of the 2 dungeons. And I mean, I guess Alexandria, but that was a part of the MSQ. No one asks why. It's just, I don't want to do it. I'd rather do the hunt train for my tomes and just not do that content because I find it boring. And why do I find it boring? Well, as I said, the healer strike that everyone memed on and laughed on. And with that, I'm going to end it on saying the healer strike, obviously I didn't participate, but the healer issues that were raised during the strike didn't magically go away. These things persisted. This is something that if there is a genuine problem, you don't need a fancy title for the problem to bubble to the surface. If there's a problem, it will bubble to the surface. And gee golly whiz, oh my lord, imagine it bubbled to the surface. Like, it's actually just not that complex. It is not that deep, bro.